I just wish I had your guys set up. So
one day. Oh my goodness. The Padres defeated their dragon, the Rockies, in a series. And back-to-back fantastic comeback wins against the Pirates. It's a good week of Padres baseball to talk about today on Padres Talking Padres. Hello, and welcome to Padres Talking Padres, your favorite podcast hosted exclusively by real-life Padres. The father kind, not the baseball kind. Hello, my name is Jay. With me, as always, we've got Jerry and Jack. How are you gentlemen doing tonight?
Great.
Fantastic.
I wasn't around for series or win-loss predictions last week. I had to leave early. But what were y'all's picks? Who picked what?
We both got it right.
You both said 5-1?
We both got it right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you. After the first game, I was thinking, okay, I'm hoping for 4-2.
Yeah. I hope I'm not dyslexic, Jerry. Yeah.
Yes, we got it right.
Yeah.
I think
can I
people have gotten it right?
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Can I start this off just one quick brief statement?
Sure.
I am so glad to be talking about how well the Padres are doing instead of how well they were supposed to be doing.
Yes.
I remember last year, the talk in the offseason, including us, was all about, oh my gosh, how are they going to hit the top 4? How many wins are we going to have?
Yeah.
We're already in the World Series. And to now finally be talking about the results rather than what we think.
Yeah.
It's a different because actually I was on Twitter. Someone had posted something. Al Scott, I think his name is, and he posted something from the Rockies. We're talking about the Padres. He goes, "They're a different team." He goes, "They're a different team than they were last year." Everyone expected basically everything we're saying. Other teams are starting to talk about the Padres.
Yeah.
He goes, "They got that, and they have that incredible bullpen now, and it just it's fun. It was stressful." I'm not gonna. I thought for sure
both games.
Well, Wednesday I thought we lost for sure. I'm like going because that had to be their worst game defensively. They played all season. I mean, it was one error after another, and you're like going.
The Bogarts bobble. That's what I was like. Okay, we're gonna lose this one. It's just not in the
bases were loaded, right? Yeah.
I mean, Jack pulled all of his hair out. I mean, it's like,
I did,
But
to your point, to your point though, Jack, you brought up just by chance. I was watching after the Padres played the Colorado Mets game, and they had the Colorado feed, and those announcers were going on about the NL West. Let's give a shout out also to the Diamondbacks and what they're doing.
Give them credit,
and just saying that. And the one Colorado announcer was talking about the super bullpen, and his prediction was they're both going to pass the Dodgers.
Yeah, that's how they finished it with their both. And to be fair, probably every National League West team announcers hate the Dodgers.
Yes,
I mean to be fair. But
out of respect, they fear the Dodgers.
Sure,
and don't like them.
I think they hate them.
I'm just saying, it's 11 years, 10 National League.
Yeah, when one, it's like the Patriots. It's like any team.
Yes.
Kansas City's starting to get that hate. It's like they're always winning. They're always winning. They're always winning, and it's just I get it. But
especially if you're in their division.
Yeah, and especially after this offseason when the Dodgers went out and spent $1 billion.
Right.
Where the Rockies don't spend $10. So
they'll spend money, but in weird pick up Chris Bryant.
Yeah, that was still the strangest.
And
that had to be the worst signing in a long time.
Well, yeah,
there's a lot of bad
it was the most confusing signing.
Yeah, because you didn't keep your homegrown star.
No,
you let her.
You traded him for nothing.
Yeah.
A future. I mean, arguably could be a future Hall of Famer.
Oh, he's
still got to play more, but
I think he'll be there.
Yeah, I think so too.
Unless he fades. He's not the best third baseman in the National League, though.
No, I mean you could argue Matt Chapman maybe is
no
statistically. I agree. I would Out of all the third basemen, there's nobody I'd rather have than Manny Machado.
Manny
His plays are incredible.
Matt Chapman's a good player. He's a really good player. He can't make plays that Manny can.
No, I
He
agree.
just can't.
I agree.
Manny saved the game today, the barehanded grab.
I think it was a backhand with his glove. You're talking about the one when
we grabbed
Yuki
it with his
Matsui was
hand.
pitching?
It was with his hand. It was like a little knobber. He hit in front, and
the one he made today, because I was watching MLB with Buck Showalter, Harold Reynolds, and the host. I never remember his name. And of course, Harold Reynolds. I don't know if you guys, but I'm not a fan of Reynolds.
You said last week you hate.
Oh yeah, what's your beef against old Reynolds there?
I just think that he comes off way too highly of himself and his history. But that being said, he had Buck Showalter, who, like him or not, the guy's been a manager for 30-something years or
75
whatever.
years, I think. Yeah.
I got an ear to pick with him.
But the bottom line is that Harold Reynolds' first comment is, "So Buck, how long do you think Manny can do this?" And I'm thinking, well, that's a heck of a way to set up a play, because they showed the play that he made and everything.
Mm-hmm.
He's only 30.
Buck Showalter really went off and just said, "Look, there's three parts to the play. There's fielding it, there's gathering it, there's throwing that, and there's not really anybody better than Manny Machado doing that right now."
Yeah. Well, he should know, right? He coached him with the O's.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, but he's having. I mean, he struggled a little in the beginning because he's come back from the elbow surgery. But he even said today he didn't think he was going to get him out.
Yeah. He was trying to decide whether he was going to go to second, to home, and he said, "What the heck? I might as well go to first and see if we can get him."
And he just. I mean, the one. I'll just poke myself in the eye. It's one. It's one thing to field the ball.
All right.
Wait. So you don't have the same grace as Manny Machado?
Yeah.
No.
Was that a Bogarts play or?
That was a Bogarts.
Problem is, I can't hit like Bogarts. Oh man! But anyway. Forgot what. He could pick it up with his hand. One-eye jack, but
one-eye jack.
It was just a game-saving play. And you got Merrill's throw, but I guess Cruz wasn't running full speed out of the batter's box.
Why wasn't he? He hit it 119 miles per hour.
Yeah, but I guess he thought it was going to be a home run or something. I don't know. I did get too excited. When you get old.
He was reminiscing. He reached up for his hair. And,
Anyway, it was like I said, Wednesday night was more stressful than today. But
well, today it was kind of like house money. You won the series. Like, I don't know, if we win it, we win it. It'd be nice.
I'll be honest with you. I'm getting greedy because we're so close to the Dodgers, and like I said, the Dodgers, really looked bad the last couple of games against the Phillies, and they got hosed on a call. It was
I will agree too.
I even did a video on it because it's such a bad call. But
hold on. Okay, hold on. I feel like we have two sides of this. All right, Jack. Yeah. Why is it a horrible call? And then we'll let Jerry respond. Go ahead.
Because the nature of the rule was he impeding the progress of the runner?
And for those who don't know, what happened? What happened?
There's a play. There was a bunt, or was it a bunt?
It was a bunt.
Pitcher gets it. He kind of fumbles it. Rojas is at third. He does kind of cross in front of him.
Well, Rojas had charged 10 feet and then went back to try to get to the base.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And who was the runner? Was it Harper? No.
Bone.
Yeah. So he comes in. He's sliding, but there was no. Like I said, to me, the rule should be.
Wait, no, don't tell. I want opinions. Just how did the play end?
And the play ended with him being out. But
tagged. He was like going to tag the
Windlestat. It's his son. His dad wasn't a great manager, so it's tradition. But he goes, no, interference, and I'm like going obstruction. I'm like going, okay, I hate the Dodgers. I'm okay with it, but I thought well, that's a terrible call.
Okay, all right. So you
think and be honest with you,
it changed the game. That changed the game.
And every pundit that was talking about it today on MLB Network was saying the same thing. Just a bad, and you can't challenge it, and you can't even argue it.
Yeah, that's why he got thrown out.
Yeah.
All right. So
anyway,
Jack, that's your thoughts. All right, Jerry, you have the floor.
Well, I called him out for defensive interference, which basically they went through the rule and they did a really good segment on MLB. So it's not just my thoughts. It was actually very good camera coordination of what happened. So I originally thought the same thing as Jack. Like, okay, that's a pretty bad call. That's kind of stretching it a bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when Harold Reynolds and Buck Showalter,
you just said you don't like Harold Reynolds.
You don't like Harold Reynolds. You don't like.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't. I'm not a hater. I'm just saying I don't like him. But
You
That's
said
fine.
Buck Showalter's old and senile too. But go ahead, finish your story.
that's not what I said. No, he's about my age, and no.
Enough said. Enough said.
But the big difference to me is when they showed it from window stats angle, and it showed it from what he saw, and there is no doubt that Rojas blocked the base. There's no doubt about it. To the extent that he should have been called out, that's questionable, and that's basically when they did their segment. It was kind of like, I get it, 50-50. I could go either way on this. They both said that.
Yeah.
But when they showed the camera angle, I'm like, again, I think he could have just as easily said, you know what? No, I'm going to let it go. But Buck Showalter brought up the best point. He goes, MLB officials are going to look at and say, why didn't you call it on that play? Because when they showed it from behind third base, he's definitely right in front of the base and gives no path to Bone to get to the base.
Yeah.
So that's why
I saw all angles, and I don't think it affected.
Well,
it didn't. To me, it didn't affect the play. He was out. There was no way he was going to be safe. He was a good foot away from the bag when he got tagged.
And again, that was the agreement, Jack, that they came up with. It. It's like, you'd like to see it called in that reference that he was going to be out anyway. Yeah. Does it really matter? But again, they went back and they went to the literal rule and said, by the rule, he's out. By the rule.
Then I'll say this: the rule has to change, because that
I agree.
That to me is a terrible rule.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Because I agree. I see all the angles that we're talking about this on, but and even umpires will say, it's like the guy that they always kind of bring on during the Padre games, where he's just like, well, it's kind of the letter of the law, the spirit of the law, and you kind of have to interpret it through the written rule and then the application of the rule. And I do agree with the sentiment that yes, if it's like letter of the law, then yes, you could call it. But if an umpire has the discretion to say it's kind of 50-50, I would err on the side of not making a call that could alter the course of the game.
Yeah, I think
in a way that they were going to be.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jay, because I think there's a lot of rules like that, and unfortunately, the first year they implement them is usually the worst, because you think about the clock rule and how they
catcher rule. We kept getting
the catcher
on years ago.
I mean, they had one the other night, where I was texting you guys, but not to switch gears, but along with the rules was when Suarez got an automatic ball.
Yes.
Right.
That was crazy.
Now, you sit there and watch the replay of that, and Suarez is on the mound.
Ready to go.
The batter is not in the box addressing the hitter at 8 seconds, but yet they called it on him.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, wait a minute, that's the batter, because Profar got a call to strikeout earlier this year for the exact same thing.
Yep.
Right.
The pitcher was standing on the man, and he wasn't addressing him at 8 seconds. So I'm thinking, okay, when they called the automatic, I'm like, oh, they called it on the batter, and they called it on Suarez, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, the batter, and they showed it.
I thought it was on the batter
5-6 seconds before he gets in there. So.
Well, and
because the pitcher can't be set up on the mound, right?
Doesn't need to be. He doesn't need to be.
Yeah. But he can't be, right? There's a certain he can't be.
You can't rush the hitter.
Can't rush the hitter.
Rush the hitter. But the pitcher could be in the back of the mound, but that batter has to be there facing the pitching mound at 8 seconds.
Yeah, it didn't. It was like 7 seconds when he finally got.
Oh no, it was 5 or 6.
Yeah, it
was whatever it was.
Yeah,
I'm like, and then what happened afterwards is Suarez had to come out after that batter because the 2 visits to the mound, but he didn't go to the mound.
What's wild is they because the game's happening, right? And you bring in Tanner Scott, like, hey, lefty on lefty. I guess that makes sense. There's a lot of waiting around. Like maybe he's maybe he's worried about him, not being as zippy or whatever. I don't know.
I thought it was strange when I go, why is he taking him out?
Yeah. It worked out. He struck him out.
Yeah.
He struck him out. I don't know if it worked. Maybe Tanner Scott doesn't like waiting a whole, half an inning to come back out.
He pitched the night before too. So it's like, and it's hot and humid there.
Yeah. It's a lot, but he was out there. Schilt was talking to Manny, and he said somebody else. He wasn't even talking to Suarez.
No.
He
They
just said,
counted
"Hey,
it as a
I
second
need you
mound
all
visit.
in the game because I don't have any more
Yes.
infielders."
Yes.
Because he saw Manny's reaction.
Right.
And Manny,
He's
let's
trying
face
to
it,
save him. Yeah.
Manny's a hothead, like a lot
Yeah.
of us are, and he went out there to save his
Well,
player, like you said. You don't have any. Again, you have no position play. Like you said, am I going to put Waldron out there? He's going to throw knuckleballs to home.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, yeah, that's a thing that sucks, but that's on him too.
But that's the whole rules thing, and Jay, I couldn't agree with you more. The umpires have one of the toughest jobs in the world. They really do.
Yeah.
And I think this is on MLB to quit harping so much on these guys. I mean, we can sit here and lambaste them about the strike zone, and I won't stop that. But when it comes to the bang bang and the review and all these, man, they have to get the microscope out on some of these reviews.
Well,
And it's like, I don't blame the umpires for getting some of them wrong. It's like,
I've said before, I go, they get most of them right. And I'm
Pretty
watching on
darn
TV
good
and
at
I
it,
go, I can't tell. Like the
Yeah.
play with O'Neill today, I was like, did he get in? I don't know if he got in. It was hard to tell.
Yeah.
And when Arise got hit by that pitch yesterday, I was with Bud and Don. I was like, I think that hit the back.
You can kind of see it in slow mo. That last finger.
Yeah. But he
Well, they
wasn't
have,
screaming.
Yeah, they have Mike. Well, they have Mike Winter. Well, actually, he pulled away pretty good, but they have Mike Winters, who's a former major league umpire, and it's interesting to listen to him because he's being very truthful about the whole check swing. He says, "Yeah, that's terrible angle. The TV cameras have the worst angle of check swings. You can't tell anything by that."
Yeah.
But his big thing is that I've been surprised is like plays, bang, bang plays. He says it's all about the sound. It's all about the sound. You hear the ball hit the mitt. You hear the foot hit the base. That's what you go by a lot of times, which is very interesting. Yeah, it's pretty.
But
pretty precise,
I think from reffing hockey, and of course I wasn't doing NHL, but a lot of the rules in USA Hockey are kind of gray.
Right.
You'll get everyone we'll be sitting there like this, and they'll go, "Why'd you call it that way?" I go, "Because that's what the rule is," and we'd literally be debating, in between a period, going, "No, is this?" I go, "No, that's the way I interpret. It's how you interpret the rule," and I think this is the problem with this rule. It's open to interpretation. It's like, okay, it should be just black and white. Did the interference keep him from getting to the bag?
Yeah.
Boom. And to me, it didn't.
It was a good point that was brought up by the MLB. Again, it was a very interesting segment, even if I don't like one of the guys. But
He's watching right now.
What I found another interesting thing was Buck Showalter again alluded to the fact he goes, "So this is what spring training's about. Did he practice these? Because they need to know how to not, and they need to have an umpire there. It's like, is this blocking the plate? Is this blocking the bag?" And I just thought it was very interesting. Sometimes we just think of the manager. I don't think all of us do, but a lot of people think a manager just sits there and fills out the lineup card.
Sure.
Now, there's a lot of training and conversations and videos and like what do you do in this situation that we don't get to see. So anyway.
Well, it like I said, it's a tough call, but again, if they're leaving it to making it a judgment call, that's the problem.
Well, and again,
you see it in all sports, like the NFL. One crew will call a catch. The next crew goes no, because they're interpreting the rule. I mean, to me, that's what's again with technology and the cameras being so good and being able to slow the play down. I mean, you can actually see the name on the baseball and all this stuff. It's so good, and it's only going to get better technology. Again, umpires. Again, I wouldn't want to be an umpire.
Yeah.
Let's
move on to some happier things. Actually, I was still happy because the Dodgers lost, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah, it was great. I
hope the Phillies take that can-do attitude to the Diamondbacks tonight.
But the Diamondbacks
series,
four games. Yeah,
I have to be like we said in the beginning. The Diamondbacks are just playing amazing. They have half their pitching staff is gone, but yet they score.
They're crushing
it. They just score at will, and they're playing good ball. I hate them.
Yeah.
Well, let's put it this way. But let's put it this way, Jay. If they go in there and sweep the Phillies, well, now basically the overall number one record is up for grabs.
It really is, because I think
they're already kind of getting there anyway.
Yeah, the Brewers are only a game or two out of having the number 2 seed, I believe.
And
which
the
is
Braves,
wild.
they beat
Dodgers
up on
are
the
still just
Braves.
barely behind. So
And
Ooh, they
the
destroyed the Braves.
The
Yeah.
Braves
Holy
they just lost too much this year, and they just.
I mean,
can't.
it's the season's not over. You still got almost
we got
2
a long
months or
ways
so.
to go.
We have a
for all
long
of
way,
our
but
teams.
they're just playing like a team that's just.
It's true. It's
drowning.
dog days of summer for them right now, for sure.
Yeah.
But looking at the Diamondbacks are hot. They're really, really hot.
Oh yeah.
But let's talk about some of the crazy, I don't know, stuff that has happened, especially these past couple of games. Jackson Merrill.
He's okay.
We've sung his praises. It's Merrill Magic is what the thumbnail is for this episode. But the impact as a 21-year-old and to, I think, some crazy stat of like his 9th inning heroics of either
And that was a
getting
bomb. That was
a
that
game
was
tying or a game leading home
Game
run
tying or game leading home run in the 9th inning or
Yeah.
past. He is now tied since 1961 with only 4 other guys.
Yes.
really wow.
Yeah.
Which is insane. And this is the question I wanted to ask you too. And I think Don brought up a good solution to this, but it's kind of ironic. They were playing the Pirates,
Right.
Okay.
and the person who is considered the front runner for Rookie of the Year is on that team and had no impact in these 3 games. But our contender for Rookie of the Year, you could argue, had an impact in every single game this weekend in a big way. What's your thoughts on at least the sentiment being it's Skeens to lose, even though Merrill is playing every single day and being impactful every single day?
We're fighting a lost cause.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
The national media has just swooned, rightfully so, over Skeens. Merrill has no chance.
That's insane to me, though.
Oh, I agree with you. I for exactly
10
what you
games
said,
or whatever it is.
exactly what you said, Jay. They're swooning over this guy, and they're not looking at Merrill. I'm telling you, it's a done deal.
He'd have to go.
He'd have to absolutely collapse, and even then, the media is just so full of him right now. It's a lost cause. I think Merrill could hit 10 home runs in the next 10 games, and he'd still not be considered.
That's wild.
Merrill's not just doing it offensively,
defensively too.
Defensively, and there should be something said that he went from playing shortstop, and they threw him out in center field with just having a few game, spring training to get a. And he's not just playing competent out there; he's playing great out there. I have more confidence in him than Grisham.
They've been handing Skeens Rookie of the Year after 4 starts.
Yes. Again, I agree with Don, and I think we said it last week, Jerry, or maybe a couple weeks ago. There should be 2 separate Rookie of the Years: a Rookie of the Year pitcher and rookie, because it's two different things.
I don't worry about it because
it's like a hitter can't win the Cy Young.
I don't worry about it because you know who doesn't worry about it?
Merrill.
Jackson
You're right.
Merrill.
But this is why I think it's important. This is why I think it's important, because you get the extra draft pick if you get Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
And
no, I mean,
so
again,
it is impactful to your team. Giving
the 3 of us are never going to say otherwise. But
no, I know.
Shouting out a lost cause here. Yeah,
that's where it's frustrating, because you have a team like the Padres and Preller, etc., that could really probably make that draft pick something special, or at least a trade chip that we could use to get somebody special. And the Pirates, they do nothing. They do nothing. They have a team that should be able to make a play at the playoffs. Did they do anything at the trade deadline really impactful? No. And so
they
didn't help. They didn't
Miami.
They didn't help their bullpen.
Well, let's put it this way: this series right here was their stake in the ground to get back in the race.
It was,
and nobody's out yet, because it's silly. You still got 45 games left. It's really tight. But now they're having to leapfrog over 6 teams, I believe it is, to get to the playoffs, and
that's hard. That's hard.
That's really hard to do at this,
especially with everyone playing each other. It's hard to do. And I think Padre fans, as a Padre fan, you want some recognition for your guys. It sucks every year when you see Manny Machado every game and the plays he makes defensively. Oh, he's not Gold Glover because they don't like him.
Yeah.
Nobody's
not Nolan Arenado.
Yeah, they don't like him. So he doesn't win the Gold Glove, and you're like going, okay, here's finally got a rookie who's if he was on the Dodgers having these same stats, Merrill would be Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. He'd be the second coming of baseball Jesus.
Because they'd be, the Dodgers have done it again. Oh, the Padres.
That's what they were saying about Outman last year. Yeah. And Padres at the beginning of this year.
Who's now in the minor leagues.
Yeah, they optioned him back down. But
I guess this is where I play the the lowly Padres, and you know what? Just keep bringing it. We'll take the wins. You guys take all the awards that you want and everything. And part of this is on Padre history. I will say we're not a big market. So for us to get something, we have to do something extraordinary. Yeah. Again, I go back to my upbringing with Tony Gwynn. It took 5 years before people even started talking about him being a mainstay, all-star performer, one of the best. It was always, he doesn't hit for power. He's just a glorified single hitter, blah, blah, blah. No respect for him for 4 or 5 years before they finally started saying, hey, this guy's hit 330 almost all the time.
Yeah. No, and even frankly, like it, not that he didn't get respect while he was alive, but I just feel like even more so as the next generation of baseball fans look back. And the more stat head, it's very stats driven now with WAR and all that kind of stuff. And they look at just some of the insane stats of Tony Gwynn. And I think
they compared him to Roberto Clemente, and they were pretty much, except for the power, it was pretty close. It was pretty almost identical.
Yeah.
But I would tell you right now that if you went to some old timers, and you said, you have to pick either Tony Gwynn or Roberto Clemente, I bet you 9 out of 10 take Roberto Clemente.
Probably.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, it'd be a tough pick.
Yeah, of course it would.
But
the influence would be that way, is I guess what I'm saying.
Sure.
The same thing is right now, you in the AL, you've got a pretty big race for AL MVP. Mm-hmm. A lot of people have already handed it to Judge. But man, you put up Bobby Witt Jr.'s numbers next to him, you're like, wait a minute, like how is this such a certain thing?
The only caveat I would give to Bobby Witt's numbers, his splits, his home and away splits. Yeah. He's the next coming of Mickey Mantle or whatever at home, but away he's pedestrian.
Yeah.
Versus Judge is consistently great.
My point being is we have a third, not quite a third of the season left, and we've already handed out the.
That's usually how it goes, right?
The proverbial, this guy's it's his to lose, and it's can't we wait till the season's over? But we don't do that anymore.
Can I go back to the vertical thing, Tony Gwynn? I think part of why people, because remember he played his whole career in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But they were good back then. But baseball was
different. Won World Series.
But the baseball was different back in the 50s and 60s and even the 70s. It's because small market teams, they had almost a level playing field. Back then no one outspent the Yankees, but still it was pretty much a level playing field, and the press gave attention to those teams.
There was no free agency, so a lot of guys got to stay with the same team.
Yeah, they had stayed. So you had Pittsburgh had great teams, so they got attention. The Orioles had great teams. They had attention. The Royals had great teams, so they were on. Major League Baseball. Now it's different because you can watch a game whenever you want. But when Tony Gwynn was playing, it was a small market. They weren't as successful.
What's kind of wild about Tony, because there was that whole stupid debate on Twitter this past week.
I saw that, but Tony Gwynn
to Aaron, Tony Gwynn Jr. chimed in
and that guy ended up deleting his tweet.
He did. He deleted the tweet. I don't know if you saw that.
Padre fans went after him too. But I was going to say too that Tony Gwynn during the 90s only struck out 188 times,
which is wild. But but they did the comparison stats because of that whole. I don't know, Jay. I don't know if you knew about it, but this one guy basically said. Because they're saying Judge is the greatest hitter, blah 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 blah. Yeah. And then someone was like, "Well,
someone said Judge is the greatest hitter I've seen in my lifetime." Now we don't know how old that guy was.
Yeah, true, exactly. And then somebody said, "I can't believe you're not even thinking of Tony Gwynn" or something along those lines. And then it became like, Tony Gwynn's blah blah blah. Which Judge is I mean, the truer comparison to Judge, I would say, is a Bonds or, a power hitter, but it was kind of, people were doing these side by sides of different players, and they had Ichiro and Tony Gwynn side by side, and Tony Gwynn kind of runs the table on Ichiro on just about every stat, slugging, batting average, like in.
I think a lot of it, Jay, you're kind of the new wave, more of the StatCast kind of crowd, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't even pay attention to batting average anymore.
True.
When I was growing up, it was batting average. We didn't even do slugging.
RBI.
It was it was batting average and
math
RBI
was a lot easier back then.
You didn't do slugging. Slugging was around though, right? I feel like those were on.
No, it's been around, but it wasn't paid attention to nearly as much. Believe it or not, with the
go ahead.
Let Jerry finish his thought, then go, Jack.
With the history of baseball and its stat nerds like myself growing up, that wasn't just readily talked about a whole lot. We knew what slugging was, and somebody invented OPS and said, oh, well, put all these things together, and that's fine and everything. But there was just a different feel for average back then. Average was the most important thing. And if you hit home runs, you were allowed a little bit of leniency on your average, So if most guys, the target was, most teams, in fact, if you go back and look at team averages, they were in the 260s and 270s for the team. Now, today it's 240, but do you have the whatever it is, slugging, this, that, and everything
OPS
else.
Plus,
it's just a different era, and it's hard for me as an old timer to kind of get into that a whole lot.
You and Showalter.
Well, it's just, to me, what's important is
you went to school together, actually.
Well, are you contributing to the team in some way? Because we've talked about it a lot. It used to be defense was catcher, second base, shortstop, and center fielder, and anything you got out of them was extra. Where you got your power was your first and third baseman, and where you got your average was your right and left fielder. I mean, that's just kind of the way people made teams. If you go back and look like a Baltimore Orioles of the late 60s, that's what they did. And everybody followed that model, but that's not the way it is today. And that doesn't make it right or wrong. It's just a different era for that.
Well, I was going to kind of piggyback on that. When we were kids, you'd get the paper the next day, and you look at the box scores. They didn't have the average. It was just a at bats, this. They might have had the errors listed down below. It wasn't until I was in my 20s they started putting the average next to the players in the paper. But it was Sunday that was the big deal, because they would have, the San Diego Union would have they had the team average, team stats, and then they would have home runs. They'd have average home runs. They have like 4 stats, but then they have a whole list of players you can look up. Okay, what's Joe Smith doing? Oh, he's hitting 250 now, because the games weren't on. You didn't have the internet.
Yeah, you didn't have the internet. Yeah,
the internet's like, okay, I can look up anytime. Okay, oh, he's only hitting that much. Oh, and I can look up. I go, that guy has especially when I'm doing fantasy. I go, that guy has an RBI in like 17 games. Why am I keeping this guy? So it's a different. Because now all those stats are out there, and they're you don't have to figure them out. They're done for you. I mean, it's just right there. So I think that's why it's changed. I mean, I still look at I want guys on my team to hit for power. I want guys on my team to hit for average. I want guys that have speed. But you look at Judge, I can't argue that he's hitting 325, hitting bombs. But would he have done that back in,
I think so. Well, okay. I don't
know.
Let me bring this back to the Padres.
It's a different way to play the game.
There's something to the Padres' offensive approach, and it's been talked about a lot. The Petco, what do they call it? Petco approach, or whatever they're calling it.
They finally got around to it.
Well, right, exactly. Hitting line drives, right? It's and Profar's even said it, like something that's led to his success this year is just like, I'm done with launch angle and just trying to get a home run or get a walk. I'm just trying to be a good hitter again.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to this Padres lineup where, and I think maybe it was one of the national broadcasts where, the pendulum swings and just like, not all ball players are Aaron Judge. Not all baseball players can be, the 3 true outcomes, out, home run, or a walk. Some ball players can just be good hitters. And so you have this lineup this year that like Solano, who's just a good hitter, Profar, a good hitter, good eye, like it gives you good at bats. You have Arise, just great kind of, bat to ball skills. And then you have people that have beautiful swings like Manny Machado that can crush a home run. Jackson Merrill, who's coming into his power, not quite there yet, but can crush a home run.
He's only gonna get better.
He's only get better, right? Because there's some hits you're like, oh, guy hit the crap out of that, but it's not leaving just yet, but he'll get there. And then you have Tatis when he comes back, he just crush a ball. But it's a really balanced lineup where not everybody's trying to do the same thing. It's just everybody kind of has their approach and it clicks a lot better. There's a lot more chances.
Last season that we talked about before, they were all sitting around waiting for a home run.
Yeah.
It was station to station, waiting for a home run, and this team is just different. I mean, it just
let's give Schilt a lot of credit too. Because, he kind of brought this attitude with him, and the hitting coach is obviously implemented, and the players. The players bought into it. The one thing I always appreciate, Jay, to your point, is you have some players, and really becoming one of my favorites, even though we hardly ever see him, is Tyler Wade.
Love Tyler Wade.
The guy just balls. Yeah. I mean, he bunts when he needs to. He runs the bases well. He moves the runners around, and he plays a good, solid defense. You need guys like that because you can't have 26 all-stars on your team. It doesn't happen. And, these pieces are so important. In fact, that's one of the things that the Padres are getting a lot of credit for. Buck Showalter, again, I just watched this, but it was actually just one of those really good segments that you watch sometimes where you just like, they're really getting into it.
Yeah.
And, he talked about the bottom of the lineup. He says there was things that I always looked at on other teams. And his thing was, can my 7, 8, 9 hitters beat their 7, 8, 9 hitters? Can my 4 and 5 starters beat their 4 and 5 starters? Can my middle relief outpitch their middle relief? Those are the three things that he looked at, because I think his point was everybody's got a top 3 or 4. Yeah. Everybody's got a top 3 starters. Everybody's got a closer. That's not where I'm going to win or lose this game compared to another team. And that, to me, we talked about it many times, is the huge difference in this team than last year. Is it top heavy like it was last year? No. It would be a discredit to this team to say that these top 4 are better than the top 4 last year. It's not even remotely close. Come on. Tatis and Bogarts and Soto and Manny Machado. Come on. I mean, I think that's being foolish. Yeah. But the 7, 8, 9 on this team is way better.
Oh, yeah.
The middle relief, especially since the trade deadline, is way better. Our 4 and 5 starters this year actually exist because last year they didn't. So you want to take the comparison between the two teams. That's my take on it.
It's on the margins, right? It's in the margins outside of your top. You're 100% right, and that's where the fire Preller people. I definitely give Preller crap at times, but you got to give him credit on this season. That
I think no matter what, he should come back next season.
And again, he's done this before, right? Matt Chapman just didn't work last year. Nelson Cruz just didn't work last year. And he's so sometimes it just hasn't worked. But the Solano pickup, the Profar pickup, the Soto trade, like we would not be in this position without the Soto trade, without having King, without having Cease because of having Drew Thorpe then trade, not having Vasquez, who has been. Like that's as a fifth starter, he's been doing great. Like today was great. And so Preller cutting the payroll $90 million or whatever it was, something crazy like that, put together a better team. And finally having a hitting coach that may actually last more than a season. V-Rod's been just...
We may even know his name by the end of the year.
Right? Yeah. Exactly.
I just called him the hitting
Rodriguez.
Coach.
Victor Rodriguez, right? Yeah, Victor Rodriguez.
That should be an easy name to remember, but I can never remember who's the hitting coach.
Just like because we don't want to get attached. We know we can't get attached because they'll just be gone.
Just break up with us.
We like to watch the games. I just remember that dreadful feeling I get when we get to after the fourth or fifth hitter last year. Like, crap! Can we get to the next inning? Or are we going to be able to get to the? Where do they line up to the end of the game? And whoops! And this year, it's nothing like that.
Yeah.
It's absolutely the opposite.
Anything can happen anytime because we got
Anything. In
Merrill
fact,
in 6.
A lot of these rallies. I mean, today's rally. Look who were the big cogs in that thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's not the first time. It's like it's
No.
happened a lot.
You're telling me.
In fact, Manny's killed, and I love Manny, but Manny's killed more innings than anybody with double
He's
play
a double play
balls.
machine, yeah, for sure. And that's the risk you take when you give more to contact, right? You're
Yeah.
gonna make contact. It's not always gonna be. It's not always
Gotta
gonna
go
find a
through.
hole. So that's
Well,
kind
and
of
the
the
same thing
byproduct
with
of
our
it.
bullpen. You know, that was my point today. You know, the Edwards kid, first
Mhm.
time with our team, he did not pitch well. I'm not trying to excuse that he pitched well.
But he's not a
But-
kid.
Well, okay. So the
I think he's older
Edwards,
than Buck Showalter.
the point being though is that the hit that killed him was like a 20 hopper through the infield.
Sure.
So
sure.
you know,
I get
and-
that,
and
but
so
the 2
ground balls
walks in the
have-
past
no,
fall, that's unexcusable.
But pass ball could be on Higgy too. Higgy's had
Yeah.
a few pass balls.
And
The
walks
catching,
happen.
there's
I
times.
hate to tell you this, Jack, but walks happen. They do happen.
The walks happen,
look at Tanner Scott last night. You going to trade Tanner Scott because he walked
yeah,
3
and
guys?
I know you said but that's not a comparable argument. Tanner
Why?
Scott's a proven player. This
Well,
guy,
we'll find out if Edwards is.
well,
It's his first game with us.
Yeah. Well, again, I have no problem doing mop up if we're behind, but I have no confidence. He was with us back in 2019. He started. He started in 2015.
All right.
But I want to talk about something later on. One thing I like about Wade is I never noticed it before. He stares down the pitcher. Yeah. If you notice, after every pitch, he just glares at the pitch. I love that attitude with him. And I said, was Schilt, did he bring the Cardinal mentality to the Padres?
Absolutely, he did.
The Cardinals have had, I mean, they've struggled. I mean, they're still playoff.
They frankly have struggled since they got rid of him.
Yeah, they have. I mean, but since I've been alive, they've been one of the better franchises, most consistent franchises out there, and their approach is pretty much like the Padres are doing now. Mm-hmm. So I think Schilt was, again, we've said it before. People were upset at the beginning, but he was the perfect hire.
And
going back to Edwards, odds are that bullpen game screwed us up. Yeah, just really. And then yesterday, it getting so tight, and we had to go. I was starting to think. I go, well, who? And give credit to Maury Home. He was just.
They gave him the game ball, or Solano gave him the game ball. Like
what I really noticed about him was he was in a tough situation.
Oh yeah.
And he showed no stress, nothing. He was cool as a cucumber. And I think that I go, God, I've never noticed that about him. He just was like
there in the AC Daily, I think it was this morning. He pointed out that a lot Morejon gets some of the most visits by Ruben Nebla. And because he, there's a lot of trying to control emotions, stuff like that with Morejon versus some of the other pitchers. But since they used up all of their mound visits, so he was out there by himself. There was no break, there was no nothing. Yeah. And that was the best I think I've seen Morejon can get, kind of
frazzled, at
times.
But it wasn't yet.
He was locked in.
Yeah. I think the other thing is that, again, more credit to Schilt. He's not afraid to use guys in different situations. And look, you cannot shield a guy with only the easy ones all the time, because then they get no confidence. They've never had to work out of a tough spot. They've never come in on a tight game. And Schilt's willing to lose a few games for that. Now, last word for the Edwards thing. I'm not defending him like he's some great pitcher. I'm just saying everybody has a day like that. My point really is, what else was Schilt supposed to do? Because one of the guys we all follow, the Giannis guy, was upset because they sent Jacob out. And I'm like, okay, I respect a lot of the stuff that you tweet, but that's ignorant. What else? They have to send somebody down and bring up a fresh arm. They only had like 2 or 3 guys that were ready to be able to pitch. The last thing you want to do is bring in Scott a third day, Estrada a third day, and blow their arms out.
They brought Scott in though.
But you have to manage your bullpen that way. And it's not the first time that a guy has been sent down that did a good job. It doesn't mean he's going to be there forever.
No, I didn't know yet.
Gillespie will be back. There's going to be some rotation in that bullpen. And to further your point, Jack, that first 1 inning bullpen game was stress that we weren't expecting.
Yeah.
And
Because you have
unfortunately,
Cease, you're thinking at least 6
we don't
innings.
have a day off until next Thursday.
Yeah.
So, and that's the only day off, because after that, it's like 13 straight games again.
Yeah.
So
Because I know a lot of you guys are complaining about the Pirates with how they handled the rain delay.
Yes, like why didn't we?
But I'm like going, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
But
that's the problem in San Diego. You never have that option.
No, I understand. But that's where it's like Schilt's usually pretty savvy. He's outmanaged other managers in spots. One of my favorites is he's outmanaged Roberts a few times against the Dodgers.
To be everybody out, man.
I know, but it makes it extra special. But like, do you think Schilt sees the weather reports too? You could probably like, this thing's going to be delayed 10 minutes in or whatever. Do you just put out a reliever to start it and then save Cease?
Yeah, that's a hard call. It's a hard call because if you're wrong and it doesn't get rained out,
yeah,
true.
Now you've got a bullpen game where you didn't expect one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough thing, and you know, who knows? Cease could come out and get bombed. You never know.
Right.
But I thought, I know everyone complained about it. I complained about it, but I'm like going, if I'm in the same situation, I got Cease on the mound who's been money for the last month. I go, and my team's not the best offensive team. I go, yeah, let's start the game. Who knew their outfield would get flooded, the warning track, because their drains weren't open.
Yeah, and I think that was the bigger deal, because you could tell that the dirt got into the drainage and all that. But that's a whole nother thing. But here's where I'm also going to give them credit. Instead of just doing a 5-day reset on Cease, they're being smart, I think, and just saying, all right, well, we'll give him a couple of days. It's like he only pitched the 2 innings, with all the warm up. Let's just bring him out in Miami instead. And it gives Musgrove another day to get back.
Yeah.
So I think he's pitching Sunday now, and Musgrove got pushed to Monday. So
he did.
I think they're making the best of it, and that's all you can do. And quite honestly, Schilt to be the first one to say, hey, you can't whine about stuff like that.
And you ended up
managing around it. Yeah,
you ended up winning, so that's you can't really complain about it. Like even today, I was frustrated. I'm like, oh, come on. Because I like how Schilt was helping guys in the beginning, but now we're this stretch where it's the dog days, right? Yeah. So I don't want to give people. I'm not here to build someone's confidence. I'm here to win. And I understand. I understand that his hands were tied, but it was I'm just acting. I'm at a game. Throw strikes. What are you doing? And what hurt us yesterday too was Cruz when in the ninth. I think it was the ninth. Arise hit the ball up the middle. And Cruz made saved them.
It was a great play.
There's not many shortstop that could have made that play.
I mean, he's 10 feet tall, so all I have to do is just kind of go like that. And it was a great play.
I think eventually he's going to be moved to the outfield unless he can cut back on his errors. But that play yesterday, and that hurt. We had to use extra guys from the bullpen. And of course,
we were taking the lead on that hit.
And then people yesterday were blaming Estrada. I go, he struck out 3 guys. He had to get the 4th out. I go, the pitch he threw to McCutchen was bad. But it was the only bad pitch he threw. If Higgy doesn't have the 2 drops, the runner's still at
already
first.
Over. Yeah,
the strikeout doesn't. He can't. He keep the runner can advance, but the batter wouldn't. So it's like, how can you blame Estrada on this? It was the defense. It was.
Yeah.
I get frustrated.
You won.
We won.
All right, let's look ahead to what's coming up in this next week.
Before you do that,
please.
Just one quick thing. Hey, we beat the Rockies 2 out of 3. Okay, now let's go on.
Celebrate! Hold on,
I thought maybe you were going to forget all about it. I'm just like, hey, that's actually the dreaded Rockies. We beat them 2 out of 3 for crying out loud.
When they lost that first game, I was like, oh, here we go again.
Because they came out flat. There was no energy.
Yeah.
But to Dodger fans, that was our World Series.
Exactly. It wasn't you, Dodgers.
Because Gomber, who beat us, comes out today and serves up like 4 home runs to the Mets. So, yeah.
We can't beat that guy. We cannot beat that guy. Anyway.
Okay, Jay, go ahead. Yeah.
All right.
I just thought,
No, you're right.
That was our headline last week.
It was.
We didn't talk about it.
All right.
That's old news.
It's old, and we moved on. All right. Next up, Marlins tomorrow. Was that 8:10 Eastern? Right? No,
7:10
7:10 Eastern.
7:10.
Sorry.
7:10.
And a couple of day games. Yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
Well, for me, day games. Yeah.
Well, they're
It's still day
indoor,
games for
right?
us.
So
Yeah.
they have the dome, right?
Yes.
They do. So we have to worry about
no
any
rainouts coming for the next, however, until we get to Colorado, maybe.
They don't jinx us. It's gonna be rain in San Diego for the first time in a decade.
Oh,
All right.
You know
So-
what? I would take a rain out if we could get some rain in San Diego.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. So we have a Marlins series, 3 games, and then the Pirates come to San Diego for 3 games, with no breaks in between that travel from Sunday into Monday. You all said 5-1 last time. What are we saying this time? Also, welcome to Henry. You caught us live. Thank you for watching the replays and for being a part of this live. Thank you, everybody that watches.
Yeah, spread the word.
Tell your friends.
Yeah, and Oz and Henry, give us your next 6 games.
Yeah,
here.
give us your predictions for the next 6
predictions
games
on the board.
That's
make it official.
That's how I worked last week.
Yeah.
I copied off someone in the chat.
All right, who went first? Who went first last week?
I think Jerry.
Jack did.
I did.
Yeah.
No, I thought I'd let you pick first.
No, you picked, and I told you I was going to pick the exact same thing. So
okay. All right. So Jerry, you go first.
I'm going to go 5-1 again. I think this team is a roll. Again, I'd love to go like 6-0 like Oz but I just think that there's just always going to be that one game. I'm a kind of believer when you come into predictions. It's like, it's pretty ballsy to sit there and say I'm going to go undefeated, even if it's these 2 teams. I really think that they should beat the Marlins all 3. The Marlins are really not a good team. Darno Silva was even commenting, I don't know most of these guys. I just don't know most of these guys. But and the road seems to fit this team. It does remind me of the 98 team in that regard. The 98 team was famous for winning on the road. So I'm going 5-1.
All right, 5-1. Jack.
You know who I feel bad for is Schumacher of the Marlins.
Well, it's his last year. He's going to coach the White Sox next year. So I don't know if that's better. But.
Wait. What? Is that the rumor? I think I'd stay with the Marlins.
Yeah, I think I would too.
Here's something for you. I'd hire him to the Padres.
Yeah, but he's not going to be the manager.
He'll be a head coach
as an assistant.
I think he's a great manager, smart baseball man.
I think he's great as well.
And looking back on, I wish he wouldn't have taken the Marlins job. He could have got a better job.
You know what though? I bet you if the Cardinals fall short again, they fire what's his name, and I think he goes back to the Cardinals. And
that's who he should wait for. He needs to wait for a good job.
I think he's going to have to get another assistant job before he gets it.
Really? He won Manager of the Year with the Marlins.
I still say he's probably going to have to wait. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's just a shame that they just dismantle. It's what they do. It's almost like the Padres in the past. Dismantle the team. They don't. Yeah. I mean, I get why the attendance isn't there. It's like you root for players and they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
Or you could be the White Sox GM and blame it all on the manager, So
yeah. I mean, God, they may not win 40 games.
Yeah, it's bad.
That's bad. He wants to Reinhardt. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 5-1. Also, I think they could go 6-0, but the Pirates. You never know with the Pirates, and you never know with the Marlins.
Pirates are scrappy. They didn't really, aside from the first game, they didn't give up at all.
You look at their lineup, you go, but they. Like you said,
we don't have to face Skeens either. That's the thing.
That helps.
We will have to face Keller on the Wednesday.
Yeah,
is their second best pitcher. Yeah.
But who's going against him? Do we know?
The same. It's the same matchups as these last 2 games. These last 2 games were the same. It'll be the same matchups on Tuesday.
Okay. Yeah. But I would love to go 6-0 because that would mean 11 straight wins.
Yeah.
And we might need that to keep up with the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what the Phillies do to them.
Please, Phillies, do the Philly thing where you beat people.
But
I'm about you, Jay?
Like Mud said, I'm scoreboard watching now.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say, just to be, try to be more grounded, I'm gonna say 4-2. 4-2.
Not bad. I'll take.
You're lucky. You would have said 3-3. I would have slapped you.
Let's see in the chat. Let's see. Oz says 6-0.
Henry,
love that
5-1
positivity. And Henry's with you guys 5-1.
Odds with the positive vibes, man. Positive vibes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, We'll have to see how that all plays out next week for our beloved San Diego Padres. Thank you for watching, everybody that's here live. If you're watching this on the replay, hit the like button and subscribe to the bell so you don't miss it. And you can join us live like Henry got to do for the first time tonight.
There you go.
That was
42 for me is a win.
That was like Christmas morning for Henry.
We do this Thursday nights. We'll see you all next week. Until then, hasta luego.
And who knows? We might be talking about the first place Padres by then.
Don't jinx it!